Well, let's dive into finally some data on the labor market with a government shutdown. A lot of data for the labor market was, well, it was delayed. We finally got employment figures for October and November, and they were interesting, to say the least, to start. The October numbers look horrific considering payrolls declined by 105,000 in the month. While this sounds troubling, it's important to remember all of those government workers on severance were still counted as employed until the severance ended. And we talked about this 5 months ago when it first happened. I said, wait until October. Yeah. It came, and it happened as we said it would.
Yeah, I mean, it was a ticking time bomb that we knew was coming. And, when it came about, it was actually larger than I thought it was going to be, honestly. I mean, there was a decline in government payrolls of 162,000 in the month of October. And again, I want to go back to that headline number, right? 105,000 was the decline, but government was down 162,000. So, I mean, it really would have been positive outside the outsized decline in government payrolls. And if you do look at losses in government payrolls, they did continue in the month of November, but at a much slower rate as they tallied 6,000 in the month. Since reaching a peak in January, government employment has seen a decline of 271,000 jobs. And looking at November payrolls, they did increase by 64,000. But again, it's a very interesting situation, right? It's like, well, it's not as bad, but well, maybe it's not as good because healthcare continues to do most of the heavy lifting as a sector accounted for more than 70% of the total net increase and added 46,000 jobs. And I mean, healthcare, sometimes I call it, actually Sarah Eisen from CNBC, she called it government adjacent because they get so much government money in the healthcare space. Okay. So it is kind of
right
money that's funneled from the government. So sometimes it's like, well, I mean, things are going okay, but then there's some other question marks. It's a very interesting labor market, to say the least, right now.
And I was kind of wondering when I first saw that, like, so what is bad about the healthcare? Because a lot of healthcare does come from, the insurance companies, and some people have to pay some themselves and so forth. But you're right, there is some government assistance, I guess. Well, Medicare, I guess. Yeah. So that could be the situation there. And I do remember the 162,000. I believe we said, correct me if you remember differently, back about 4 or 5 months ago, it was estimated about 120,000.
Yeah, that does sound about right. So, I mean, it was large. And also, too, within that government, there is the state and local. So, I mean, it didn't really break down essentially how much was purely federal government. But I do think it was still above at least what I was expecting.
Yeah. Also, construction was strong in the month as the sector did add about 28,000 jobs, but many other areas saw little change, and transportation and warehousing was weak as payrolls declined by 18,000, those two areas. Another concern in the report was the unemployment rate did tick up to 4.6%, which is above the 4.4% level in September and marked the highest reading since September of 2021. And Chase, I'm looking forward to hear a little bit. Is that by chance because more people came in the labor market, or was it just more people? Because if you added 44,000 jobs net, I would imagine that more people come in the labor market.
Well, I mean, one thing that I'm looking at, and we're going to kind of get into this when we talk about inflation, but I do wonder how accurate that was. Because right now the government was shut down, so that is based off survey data. Well, if the survey data wasn't great, I mean, how accurate is that number? So we'll have to see, kind of, I think, as time progresses, what the next unemployment rate is, and then I think that'll give us a better idea of where we're at. And, when we look at all of these numbers that are coming, I mean, you definitely can't deny that the labor market is slowing. A lot of people have coined this a no hire, no fire labor market, which I kind of, it's interesting, right? It's like, well, I mean, we keep saying it's okay. And I think that's exactly what a no hire, no fire market is. And it leads me to say I'm just not overly concerned about the labor market. I do think there are some question marks. And you have seen, declines in the payroll level in 3 of the last 6 months. So that is concerning. But we are still seeing these large declines in the government sector as a whole, for the most part, be picked up in the private sector, regardless of healthcare, government adjacent, kind of space, or other areas like construction. I think largely probably from these data centers and this AI build out. But I still think this labor market is okay.
Yeah.